Okay, raise your hand if you're period illiterate for the majority of your life and became aware of it in your early 30s. Or cycle illiterate, if that's what you want to say, however you want to say it. Also, this episode is not just for people with periods. It's for people with hormone cycles. So, like, for example, I have a girlfriend who had to get her uterus removed because of health issues. Still relevant to her. I also have just had a funny conversation recently with a lovely trans woman who was going through a hormone treatment and didn't understand some of the feelings they were having. And we were talking about it. I was like, that kind of sounds like a luteal phase. Like, do you not want to be around anybody or getting a little bit irritable? And they were like, yes. And I was like, okay, girl, that's probably what you're in right now. So this episode is to, yes, understand your phases better, but also like it's for people with hormone cycles. So back to being period illiterate. I thought the most important part was just like the menstrual cycle part. Like that was it. Like, have I heard of the other phases before in my life? Yes. Up until the last couple of years of my 30s, did I know embarrassingly little to nothing about my own body and what it does? Yup. Was I ever taught about my cycle in detail or about the phases and their importance to me and my body? No. No, I wasn't. So hence the female rage to create this episode. Period 101. Let's get into it. This podcast is for anyone who is in the process of becoming. I hope that whoever's meant to hear what I have to say is listening. But as always, all the cunts to the front. Okay, so this is what we're going to be covering, just so you know what's up, okay? The sex hormones, the important three, right? What you need to know about them, and the beautiful moon cycle, as in like the full moon happens one time a month and the moon has phases and we link up with them. We are amazing human beings. So we're going to talk about what every phase is and what to do in each one that best suits that phase of the cycle. It's kind of fucking amazing once you get into it, and we are going to get into it. Also, I should probably take a moment here and say this doesn't substitute any information that you get from a doctor or medical professional, okay? But it was my hyperfocus of the month, and I was deeply offended by how much that I didn't know, so here we are. All right, we're going to get into the sex hormones, okay? Estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Okay, so estrogen and progesterone, they're like besties, okay? They're like sisters. And testosterone is kind of like the rando that kind of pops in, but they're like an important part of the group, okay? So estrogen, think of estrogen as like the planner, the builder, okay? Progesterone, that's the nurturer. The nurturer does not do well with stress, or AKA like cortisol. We'll come back to that. Just remember, like estrogen, planner, builder, progesterone, nurturer. Testosterone is the surge. Okay, estrogen, I would argue, is also like kind of a surge, but that's where the builder part comes in. So how do they come into play? When do they come into play? So the builder, estrogen, that happens in the first half of the cycle, like days 1 through 14-ish, because your estrogen rises after your period ends. Why is it the planner and the rebuilder? Well, literally, it's rebuilding like the uterine lining. If you still have a uterus, it's rebuilding the uterine lining from like what it just went through menstruation and shedded it. It also boosts your energy. It boosts your mood, helps with clear thinking, helps with social confidence, helps with creativity. And the good planner and builder that it is, it primes the body for the big O, ovulation. Now I'm going to bring in the surge right now, the testosterone, because it's not throughout the entire cycle. It's not a whole half like the other two. There's a sharp peak of it in the middle of the cycles, like day 14-ish, during ovulation. Oh, adorable. So it boosts libido, helps with physical strength, helps with confidence. But I also want to let you know that it rises during or at the end of menstruation, because during menstruation, estrogen and progesterone are at their lowest, so testosterone rises. So if anyone, especially guys, are ever like, are you on your period? You're like, yeah, actually, and I'm not being horrible like a woman. I'm acting like a dude because testosterone is peaking, so test me, bitch. And then you have the nurturer, progesterone, comes in the second half of the cycle, days like 15 through 28 or until you bleed. So that's the calming hormone. Okay, it's gonna help with relaxation, with sleep. It reduces anxiety, promotes emotional stability, if you listen to all the signs and everything that it's saying to you to do. Now let's get into these phases. Let's fucking go. I do want to say real quick, like a side note, that I acknowledge that all bodies and cycles are different, and this is just a basic intro, period 101 level, okay? So MFOL, you have the menstrual, follicular, ovulatory, luteal, L for last. Okay, if you want an acronym, like remember it that way, MFOL, my fucking ovary life. You don't want that one, go with mindfully follow our lead because your body's talking to you, or mindful flow of living. You could do my flow of legacy or something a little bit more robotic like mindful feminine observation log. Any of those, MFOL. MFOL, that's the order. That's the beautiful seasons in order for our body. Let's start with the menstrual phase, okay? We're talking days 1 to 7 on average. The menstrual phase is really saying, like, be humble, sit down. It's telling you to slow down, slow the fuck down, if you will. That's exactly what it's telling you. And when we don't, that's when it starts cursing at you. So this is a time for rest, for reflection, for nurturing the body. You might even crave quiet time to yourself. Most of us do. So let's talk about what happens in the body. Okay, on a hormonal level, estrogen and progesterone levels are at their lowest, and testosterone peaks a little bit. And like day 1 through 10, like menstrual cycle, and then into the next phase is like you're building estrogen. So what's happening physically in the body? That's when the uterine lining is shedding. It's leading to menstrual bleeding. But also, fun fact, something I looked up that I didn't even think about was, what does your skin do? I didn't know that from having low hormones, like your hormones being so low, that your skin can get dry. So didn't even think about that, but you can hydrate it with nourishing moisturizers. So fun fact to me, fun fact to you. Let's talk about activities in the menstrual phase. Let's talk about like communication. Day 1, not the day to communicate or resolve conflict. That's a time to just kind of be, just kind of survive for most of us. Enact personal space, personal time, boundaries for that personal space and personal time. Day 2 is kind of the same. Day 3, we might be more ready to like settle things. You might be like, we prefer like deeper, meaningful conversations rather than surface level chatter, which I kind of think goes with like, you don't have time for bullshit. You don't have the patience for it. That's why I think like either deeper conversations or like no conversations. That's what we prefer. We want low energy connections, like close friends. The type of friends you can be like, yo, hoodies, sweatpants, snacks. And they can be like, yes. And then you can both be on your phone, like on the same couch. You know what I'm saying? Like low energy connections. It is not the time for high pressure situations. Not the time. Okay. So again, more activities. Let's go into creativity. Creativity might feel dormant in the menstrual cycle, the menstrual phase, I should say, the first phase, because your body is prioritizing rest and recovery. It's kind of like the ideal time to reflect and review past creative ideas rather than starting new projects. We'll talk about new later in the next phase. Also, here's just a couple suggestions for your like partners, housemates. Okay. Day 1, day 2, let her be. Give her some space. Give her some space. Don't be pushy. Just let it be. Day 1, day 2, kind of like similar, right? Day 3, little more out of her shell. Probably going to be a little bit more verbal, more present, more like wanting to connect. Maybe, again, different for different people. Those are just a few suggestions for your people. So what's going on with your body? What do you do with your body? So sex drive. Let's start there. It's usually lower due to fatigue and like physical discomfort for most people, but some might have like a heightened sex drive due to like increased blood flow and sensitivity. So know that going in. So exercise, again, what to do with the body. You could opt for like gentle activities like yoga. You could do stretching. Kind of avoid twisting. I learned that in yoga for your menstrual phase. You could go for like a light short stroll, but also remember that resting is an option. Resting is a huge part of exercise. It's an actual, like it's a step in an exercise routine or building muscle. Like your muscles, your body needs time to rest for things to grow. Okay. Avoid high intensity. Something else to do with your body, eating. You want hormone building foods. So you want like antioxidant foods. You want high magnesium and protein foods. So you're talking dark berries, oranges, quinoa, energy fiber. That's oats. Go for beans, squash, potatoes, quinoa. I said that already. Citrus fruits, dark leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, things like that. You can look up more. I don't want to go too into it. And if you do intermittent fasting, don't go over 15 hours in this menstrual phase. Don't go past that. Like 13 to 15 is a good spot. If you do that, you don't need to. Okay, follicular phase. That's our day 6 through 13, 14-ish. It's what leads up to ovulation. I love follicular phase. You get an increase of energy, creativity, sociability. Like it's a fun phase for me. Here's what's happening in the body. On a hormonal level, your estrogen is rising. That's basically it. It's preparing for ovulation. But here's what's happening physically in the body. Your body is preparing to release an egg. The uterine lining is thickening again. Also, another fun fact, what is your skin doing? Your skin cell, there's like skin cell renewal, and it's heightened during this phase. So you could do like a gentle exfoliation in this phase. Just be like a little bit gentle because it's, again, the skin cell renewal. Great. We love that, but it's heightened. So just be gentle with your skin during this phase. All right, follicular, what kind of activities are we looking for creativity-wise, okay? This is a burst of creativity. You're going to get that in the follicular phase. You're going to have problem-solving skills due to rising estrogen because we answer. We just have the answers. We solve the issues. Estrogen's amazing. This is the ideal time to brainstorm, to conceptualize. This is our like craft classes, painting classes. We're making plans. This is the new. This is when the new happens, not in the menstrual, in the follicular. This is like new projects, plan meetings, set goals, have like social activities. You could also do, like, as far as activities go, you could do live music, new music, getting into a podcast, declutter, organize, plan the projects, do the gratitude. That's what's good in as far as like creativity and activities go for the follicular phase. Now, in communication, there's increased confidence and energy leading to better social skills and clearer expression. So now's the time to like get the shit out and do the problem solving, do the conflict resolution. It's a lot easier to articulate like your ideas and make connections during this phase of your cycle. It's good to do like time with friends, loved ones, try new things, all that. Now, what to do with your body in the follicular phase? Your sex drive, it is gradually increasing in this phase because your estrogen levels are rising. There's a lot of playfulness. There's a little like sexual curiosity. It's good for romantic interactions, and all of that might increase, should increase probably with the rising estrogen in the body. It's very nice. As far as exercise goes during this phase, you try active outings. You could do challenging workouts. You can engage in like moderate to high intensity because you have all of this increased energy and you need somewhere to put it. Now, as far as fueling that energy, eating, you want to focus on complex carb, nutrient-dense foods because you want to support your energy levels that are rising. I have a list here. So it can look like fermented foods, high fiber, coffee, protein powder, nuts, blackberries, black beans, quinoa, citrus, avocados, tomatoes, lean protein, tofu, iron, zinc. Those are some of the foods, not all, but they can support in replacing energy while it's coming up. Also, again, if you do intermittent fasting, this is an ideal time. This phase is an ideal time for longer fasts. So I'm talking like over 18 hours, maybe up to 24-hour fasting if you want to like replenish your body in that way. Ooh, what's next? Ovulatory phase. Let's get into it. Ooh, my nails match my tea. This is our manifesting stage, okay? This is when we're most communicative, we're confident, we're tackling hard conversations, we're getting into leadership roles. Ovulation phase is the bad bitch phase, honestly. So this is what's happening in the body. On a hormonal level, you have a surge in luteinizing hormone. Do I know a lot about that hormone? No, I do not. The only thing I do know is it triggers ovulation. So fun fact of the day, didn't know that word a week ago. Again, hormonally, estrogen is peaking and testosterone is rising. Physically, what's happening is a mature egg is released. But also, again, fun fact, your skin can actually become more oily during ovulation phase. Didn't know, so maybe use like a balancing serum for that. I'm paying way more attention to my skincare for the first time in my life, like a whole full circle skincare routine. So these were all relevant to me, and I feel like I just felt like I needed to share them as well. Okay, ovulation phase, activities. What's happening creatively? Okay, we have a heightened ability to focus and produce creative work. We have confidence in sharing our ideas and in presenting work to others. So, like, this could be work related. This could be really, really helpful to like schedule important meetings, presentations, things like that. So, communication, what's happening with communication? Our social skills are at their highest. And this is a great time networking, public speaking. It's an ideal time for presentations, like I just said, big meetings, leadership roles, high visibility tasks. Think that, like, think high visibility. This is the best time to do that. You have increased charisma and ability to connect with others. You could do, like, as far as like professionally, yes, presentations, speaking, public speaking, but also like socially, date nights, parties, gatherings. It's a great time to do that. So, what are we doing with our body in this stage? Let's talk about sex drive, shall we? The libido is at its highest. It's the most testosterone flowing through the body with our rise of estrogen. Both of those hormones are at their peak. So, it's like the greatest desire for intimacy and physical connection is at this time, which can be a very beautiful thing. Okay, moving on physically, let's talk about exercise. This is when you could go high intensity, hardcore, like freaking strength training, go to the gym, do high intensity interval training, hit workouts. You want to push yourself to the limit or try something new and get a little crazy, have fun. This is the time to do it. Now, taking care of our body, what do we want to put into our body? Food. So we want to maintain a balanced diet rich in antioxidants to support cellular health. So we also want to reduce inflammation. So we're thinking like dark berries, pineapple, farro, barley, quinoa, lean protein, lentils, asparagus, olive oil, walnuts, and there is more. Remember, you can always plug this into like ChatGPT and be like, give me a huge detailed list of, what I need to be eating in every phase of my cycle. Here are my allergies, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can get it or go to a dietitian. There are many people that can help you with this. This is just a short list. Also in this phase, again, if you do intermittent fasting, you can continue intermittent fasting during this phase. You just have to pay attention and listen to your body and listen to its signals specifically. Okay, luteal phase, MFOL, L for last, luteal. This is what happens leading up to the period. It's like day 15 up until you bleed. It could be to 28 if you have a 32-day cycle, whatever it is. This is about winding down. This is completing projects, prioritizing your self-care. It's focused on like attention to detail type of things. So let's go into what's happening in the body. Now, first, hormonally, around day 16, you kind of have like a crash in hormones, change of personality. You might feel a little low. That's when you're like, what's happening to me? And then like a few weeks later, you're like, oh, that. Cute. This is when that irritable like feelings come in. Then day 17, 18, your progesterone is building, okay? It's rising. It's preparing the uterine lining to be ripped away. Your glucose is higher a week before your period. Didn't know that. So that's why we crave carbs, because we actually need to bring glucose up to be able to make progesterone. I never fucking knew that. I'm just like, oh, I have all of these cravings. What do I do with them? No, I'm 33 and I just realized that the week before your period, the reason we freaking crave carbs is because our body knows it needs to get glucose up because it needs to make progesterone. Absolutely ridiculous and mind-blowing. I didn't know any of this shit. All right. So what's happening physically in the body with our luteal phase? The body is transitioning and preparing for menstruation. And with your skin, you might have hormonal breakouts or redness. So you could use some like soothing serum or masks to help calm those areas. That's what's happening like physically and on a skin level. Let's get into activities, communication, creativity, things like that. So communication, we do not want cortisol in the luteal phase. We have no desire to push hard through stress or towards stress. Like, we're different. We do not want to tackle those hard things. Now, in day 18 up until like day 2, like the restart in the first 2 days of your period, it has been said and suggested that you should never resolve conflict in this time because we don't want cortisol. We don't want it. Our body does not want it. We don't want to be able to handle or push through anything. So if it can be helped, obviously, all these things can't always be helped, but if it can be helped and you have like a serious conversation you want to have with someone or someone wants to talk to you and it's not an emergency, schedule for like the end of your menstruation phase or into follicular phase, ovulatory phase, but like middle to the end, steer clear because we have low patience. We're a little irritable. We just really want to avoid high stress, especially if it's like a big life decision. And we will feel very sensitive to criticism. So, along with communication, you do want to choose safe spaces for yourself in this phase, in the luteal phase, because we prefer to connect deeply with like trusted people rather than engaging in like super large settings. And I feel like this goes double for neurodivergent people. I feel like I just got like a map to my life and it's going to be so helpful for me. I'm really grateful that I know these things now, or I'm learning these things now anyway. Okay, creativity in our luteal phase. We're going to wind it down. We're going to prioritize self-care. We have a tendency to focus on like detail-oriented tasks and finishing projects rather than brainstorming or starting new ones. Remember when new is in MF, follicular phase, okay? So the creativity is going to shift to problem solving and organizing, or we should help it shift through to problem solving and organizing. And also doing like nesting activities, or you might naturally do it. I bet you do. Nesting activities like organizing, decluttering, meal prepping, cleaning, and doing self-care, tidying, literally in preparation to take care of yourself at the end of the luteal and the beginning of the menstrual phase. It's wild because I think I do these things and I'm like, why do I need to clean everything right now? And then it's because you're nesting, because your body's getting ready to release and it needs to rest and you want a nice space to rest in. It's wild. So what are we doing with our bodies in our luteal phase? We are going to take care of ourselves. As far as sex drive goes at the beginning, like initially early in the luteal phase, it might be high, but it will decline because progesterone is rising. And remember, that's the nurturer, not the naughty one. And along with nurturing, you're definitely going to have like an increased desire for emotional intimacy over purely physical connection. Also, suggestion for your partners or housemates, cater to her. Give her a lot of compliments. Offer foot rubs. Take care of her until she bleeds. Luteal phase is after ovulatory and until she bleeds. Like cater, 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 love, 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 compliments. Let me get you a blanket and a snack type of energy, okay? So moving forward with what we're going to do with our bodies, our own bodies, exercise, you probably want to go with like low impact activities like walking, Pilates to accommodate like potential fatigue that you're going to feel in your body. As far as eating and taking care of yourself, you want to increase your intake of complex carbs and hormone building foods because you're going to alleviate PMS essentially to alleviate premenstrual symptoms. So that's going to look like bananas, berries, sweet potatoes, whole grain, pasta, brown rice, carrots, zucchini, Brussels sprouts, almonds, seeds, avocados. There's more. That's just a short list. Now, again, if you're doing any intermittent fasting, you do want to avoid longer fasts during the luteal phase because you want to support progesterone production. And then once progesterone hits its peak, boom, comes the period or the hormones. So how do we plan around this shit to make it effective for our lives? Have I fully successfully integrated this into every piece of my life? No, but I've started to, and it's actually making a very big difference. And I feel way more organized and I also feel less stressed. Schedule around your phases. So like brainstorming, networking, schedule those for the follicular and ovulatory phases. Use your menstrual phase for rest, reflection, reviewing past work. Like if you want to like go over something that you've already done, do that shit during your menstrual phase. You want to finish and complete detail-oriented projects. Use your luteal phase for that. These are all like all of our strengths are all laid out. Like every step of a plan has its place in our phases, if that makes sense. Just like understanding these fluctuations, I feel like it's going to help communicate. It's going to help us communicate. It's going to help us like collaborate better, probably be better partners, probably have our better partners be better for us, to us, and help each other out. Like, this is some pretty dope shit. That's it. That's all. That's it. Thanks for listening. I hope you got something out because I didn't know any of this shit like a few months ago. So, and I was offended by myself. And I a little more than angry that I wasn't taught that. This wasn't a class in school. I feel like it should have been a class every single year for many years, but I digress, and I'll just be grateful for right now and access to research by women. Cheers.